touch me no more. Why don't you love me, love me, love me? Touch me, touch me, touch me no more. Love me, love me, love me. Touch me, touch me, touch me. Love me, love me, love me. Touch me, touch me, touch me.
I'm so divided, starstruck, but haters got some indecisive. I'm over fighting, I just can't wake up, cold and sleep alone.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing and trying out the new Amrezy palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. So if you want to see more, then please keep on watching. So this is the box that it comes in. It is beautiful. I love this pink. It is stunning. And this is the back. And I'll just read what it says on the back of the box. So it says, recreate every Amrezy look you love with just one palette, from classic nudes to playful rosy tones and seductive smoky hues. From mattes and metallics to our most insanely pigmented glitter finish yet. This limited edition palette features 16 all new, all Amrezy shades, so you can achieve anything from go-to daytime to ultra glamorous looks. So I love how it's a Barbie doll theme. It is stunning, this Barbie pink, and I love this Barbie pink and how feminine it is. It's stunning. So this is the palette itself, and it is stunning. I love this packaging. I love how glittery it is, and it's just stunning. It's just like Barbie doll vibes. It's amazing. So this is what the palette looks on the inside, and as usual they have the brush. I'm just going to put that out. So these are the beautiful shades. Now this palette, when I first saw it, I thought it looked a lot like the Norvina palette mixed with the Modern Renaissance. Yeah, so when I first saw this palette, I thought it looked a lot like the Norvina palette and the Modern Renaissance mixed in one. And in person, it definitely does. It also looks a lot like they've taken some shades from the Soft Glam palette. Now, I know that these are all new shades, but it is very similar to the rest of Anastasia's shade range that she has. So I am super keen to try this out and dip into it. At the end, I'll compare it to the other Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes that I have. But I'm so keen to try this out, and yeah, as someone who likes to collect a lot of Anastasia palettes, I'm really happy that I have this in my collection. But let's see how she applies on the eyes. I like the fact that they've added 2 extra shades in here, so it is a bigger palette than the others. Oh god, did I bump a shade? I think I did. I like how it has 2 extra shades, so they added glitter formula, and instead of replacing some of the mattes with the glitter, they just added 2 extra matte shades in there. And one thing I didn't know is that these are actually made up into different kind of like collections. So you've got like these 4 like different quads. So 1 quad, 2 quad, 3 quad, and 4 quad. And if you have a look at the palette, it actually makes a lot more sense to have the quads. And to actually visualize it like that. You can kind of imagine more looks that you could actually do with it by envisioning each of the sections into quads. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the shade Wasted, which is this one right up here. Whew. And it's really hot in here, so I have the fan on, so sorry if you can hear that. I'm going to pick up the shade Wasted on a big buffer brush. This shade is a really nice light pink. It does have a bit of a shimmer to it though. I don't really mind, so I'm just going to use this as my base shade. So next for my crease, I'm tossing up between these two shades. Now I know that this palette has received a little bit of criticism for these two shades being so similar, and I have to agree, they are very similar. I'm going to go in with the shade OG. It's slightly lighter and less orange than the shade New Yorker. Such a funny shade name. So I'm going to take the shade OG on my 227 Luxe Definer brush from Zoeva. That is quite dark. I kind of wish there was a transition shade that was a little bit lighter, that wasn't quite this dark, but it's alright, we're gonna work with it. And I'm just gonna buff that out with my 223 Luxe Crease brush. Just to compare the pair, I'm gonna now dip into the shade New Yorker on my definer brush. I'm just gonna take that over the top of the shade OG. Yeah, this shade's a little bit more warm toned, but that's about it. Like, they're pretty similar. And I'm just popping that all over the lid as well. Just buffing out the edges. Now they are really pretty browns. Like, I could essentially just leave my eyes like this and just do a winged liner and pop some lashes on and I could be done. But, plot twist, I'm not done. Now I'm going to dip into the shade 1988 and deepen up the outer corners. And I'm using my Zoeva 230 Luxe Pencil Brush. Looks a lot like the shade in the Soft Glam palette. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll show you afterwards because it looks so similar. Okay, I'm just going to blend that out using my Luxe Definer brush, number 227. Now that's blending out really, really nicely. I'm just going to go back in with my 227 Luxe Crease brush and just blend it out a little bit more. And just buff out the edges. And I'm just dragging out the outer corners and just elongating my eyes. Just going to dip back into the first shade, Wasted. Just use this to kind of buff out the edges. It's almost giving me a nice brow bone highlight as well. Love that. Now I'm just going to dip into the shade You Go. I'm just taking this on my 230 Luxe Pencil brush and I'm just popping this on the very outer corner. So that shade has just given me a little bit more of depth to the eye look and some more dimension. So I'm just going to buff that out again. Just going to buff that out with my 227 Luxe Soft Definer brush. Just going to buff out the edges again. And I'm just going back into the shade Wasted again just to buff out the edges. Now, as you guys can see, I've already done my base first, and surprisingly, there hasn't been that much fallout already, which is great. But I am going to start dipping into some of the glitter shades, so I'm probably going to see a bit more fallout now, but there hasn't been hardly any. Like, there might be a tiny bit. There might be a tiny bit, but it's not noticeable at all. So far, without using the shimmer shades, this is a look that I could easily recreate with any of my other Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes. And 2 or 3 that kind of come to mind are the Soft Glam palette. This is pretty much like what I do with my Soft Glam palette before I add the shimmers. So my Soft Glam palette, I could easily do this look, and my Sultry palette, and also my Norvina palette. I feel like all of those palettes could recreate a similar look that I already have so far. But now we're going to dip into the shimmers, and this is where it usually gets a little bit more exciting. So let's see what kind of a look I can create today with this palette. Now I'm going to dip into this shade over here, and it looks like this shade is called Gorgina, but it might just be Georgina and it's spelt without the E. But regardless, I have to use the shade in the palette that is pretty much my name. I'm just using my fingers to dip into this shade, and this shade looks really stunning. It looks like more of a metallic than a shimmer. It's definitely not a glitter. So yeah, let's pop it on the eye and see how we go. So today is Australia Day, and I have a party to go to, so I'm just doing more of a neutral kind of glam, but with a twist. So I think this is a perfect shade to put on the lids for today. Yeah, so my friends and I, we rented an Airbnb in the city, and it has this amazing pool. It looks stunning, like I cannot wait. So today is going to be a fun day. Now that is a really pretty shade, but I have to say it's not that unique. It kind of looks like a lot of the other shades in a lot of the other palettes. And my Sultry palette and my Norvina palette are both coming to mind right now. It looks very similar, but it is still a beautiful shade nonetheless. I'm putting this on the inner half of my eyelid, just so I don't cover up too much of that nice smoked out part that I've spent all that time just blending away. Now that is such a stunning pigmented metallic shade. So I'm just going to blend out the crease. I'm just going to buff out the crease, just so the shimmer doesn't go into the matte of the crease, just so it looks a little bit neater. I'm going to dip into the shade Anastasia, which is this beautiful light pink shimmery shade right here. It has a rose gold shift to it. Put this on the inner corners. I'm just going to pick up that same shade Anastasia on a brush. So I'm using my Morphe MB26 brush, just so I can be a little bit more precise. So I'm just picking up the shade Anastasia. Just tried applying it to the inner corners of my eyes with a brush, but it definitely works better with a finger. So I'm going to go back in with that shade, and it's a super pretty rose gold shade. And there was a bit of fallout this time, so I'm just gonna go and dust that off. Okay, so it is time to try some glitter shades. Absolutely. So I'm gonna go in with the shade Litty, and Gemini is really calling my name as well. I'm gonna start off with Litty because it's more similar to the shade Gorgina or Georgina, however it's pronounced. So I'm gonna start off with that. Ooh, that is such a cool formula. Look how it worked on the finger. It's really soft, but it's not, it's a little bit gritty, but it's not like too gritty. Like it doesn't feel just like a straight glitter. So that is interesting. Let's see how this applies, shall we? Ooh, that is fire. I love that. Yeah, this glitter shade is really soft to the touch. It doesn't feel like sticky or gritty or hard. Like it's just really, really nice actually. I'm just going to apply that just to the center of the lid. And in my opinion, I think that these are best to apply with your fingers, just because otherwise you're going to get a ton of fallout from brushes, and I just feel like it'll be messy, whereas with the fingers you can really just press it onto the skin. So I much prefer using my fingers. So I've definitely had a lot of fallout from the glitter, but that's alright. We can come back from this, maybe. But I did my base first, just so it was done and I'm ready to go. But yeah, there's a lot of fallout from that one. Okay, now time for the other eye. Okay, getting rid of that fallout. And I'm just going to buff out the crease again. I'm gonna swatch the shade Gemini just to see if I want to use it or not. Yeah, alright, we'll use it. Now I'm just gonna pop the shade Gemini on the center of the lid. Truly the center. I just want this shade to pop. And the shade Gemini looks even more sparkly than the shade Litty. Stunning. So much fallout. I mean, really, it's to be expected though. I mean, what do you expect with glitter? Obviously there's going to be a lot of fallout, but there's not that much. Like it's bearable. But I would just say definitely do your base last if you plan on using the glitter. I'm just going to buff out the crease again. I'm just going to buff out the outer corner. Both of the shades OG and 1988 under the lower lash line. And I'm just using my 226 smudger brush. For the final touch before I pop on my lashes, I'm going to take the shade Barb on the inner corners, which is that beautiful pink shade just up there. I'll try a brush first, and if it doesn't work, I'll use my fingers. Fingers it is. Now that is such a pretty shade. That is very unique. I'm just going to dust away the fallout. And now I'm just going to add some lashes and maybe some liner as well, and I will be right back with my final thoughts and comparisons. Okay, I'm back. So I've just popped some lashes on and lined my eyes, and now I'm going to be giving my final thoughts on the Amrezy palette. Okay, so I love this palette overall. I think the shade range in here is amazing. I think if you don't own any other Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes, like if this is your first one, it's a great one to pick up because you just have so many shades, and they've kind of taken the best elements of their best selling palettes and kind of just combined them into the one. Now obviously these shades and colors and tones are different to the other palettes, but in saying that, it is very similar to a few of them. So if you already have the Norvina, the Soft Glam, the Modern Renaissance, the Sultry palette, the Riviera palette, basically most of their other palettes, then you do not need this palette. But in saying that, if you are an Anastasia Beverly Hills palette collector like myself, then I definitely recommend getting it because I'm really happy that I have this in my collection now. And I also think that the glitters alone, if you are someone who's into glitters, this palette is definitely worth it for the glitter shades because they are very, very beautiful, and they are very beautiful and very popping and very pigmented. And so I'm a huge fan of the glitters. So do I recommend this palette? Absolutely. But do you need it? No, absolutely not. But like I said, it is a gorgeous palette. The packaging is everything. The shades are gorgeous, and as a lot of her other palettes, as you know, you can take this palette from day to night. You can do something quite subtle, but I also feel like this palette is definitely for those people that do prefer more of the bold looks and they want to go hard or go home and use the glitters and really get their hands dirty. So I'm really happy that I have this palette, but like I said, it's not a necessity in your collection by any means, but I'm really happy that I have it. So there you go. They're my final thoughts on this palette. So yeah, overall, I love it. I'm really happy that I have it. I really, really like the look that I created today. It is very sultry, very pretty, and the glitters are just giving me life right now. I'm loving them. So I really like how they've added the glitters in this palette, and I think Amrezy did an amazing job. She is a beautiful person, and the colors in this palette just basically scream Amrezy. So she's done such an amazing job. I'm really happy that I have this, and I can't wait to keep playing with it and do some more looks with this palette. So yeah, if you guys liked today's video, please give me a thumbs up. Also, let me know and comment down below if this video helped you at all. And yeah, I'll also be doing a giveaway on my Instagram, so definitely follow me on there and join in on the fun because I'm giving away some really cool makeup products, and yeah, I just really want to give back to my subscribers and people that support me, so please do that as well. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye guys!